from self one to self two, we will see how the power displays itself in nature, human nature, as well as universal nature. It is primarily where we get stuck in this third chakra dealing with power. Anything that is focused outside of the human being brings into being the duality where we continually become stuck over and over and over again in various civilizations as we have civilized the planet, civilized in quotation marks. From the requirements of the outside, which are focused on agreements and attachments and achievements, we tend to move away from the intrapsychic component of the external flowering of achievements. And thus it's like cutting a flower off from its roots. And this becomes boxed in, literally, until we put it in a box, and move outside the flow of creation and the oneness connection that we are born with. As you move through self two, where all the goodies of civilization have their attachments and rewards, and all the goodies of civilization, when it comes to our relationships, are in some way involved with drama that was rooted in the family or the original community and space that we are born into, and in other ways are tied into our development of continually moving up the chakras toward our own maturation. I think we can all agree that we, as a civilization, have not maintained maturity, even at self two, for very long, before we are destroyed by an overpowering culture, or we destroy ourselves. So, we have not learned that we can get to the next level of the self through this route. So this is one bridge from self two to self three, where we talk of spiritual and spatial entities. At self three, which is demonstrated by the various religious founders, by the various spiritual gurus, by the various persons who have become the top of their creative abilities and integrated the skills with their talent and have shared that with the human beings for enjoyment, for enlightenment, for uplifting of humanity toward the heaven that most religions seek and promise. Now, what does all this mean in terms of individuals? It's interesting that as we move from the fourth chakra to the fifth chakra, we open the door to the third self. And that self is the self represented by Jesus the Christ through continuing creation from the invisible to the visible, and for our continual resurrection as we move through evolution. In the beginning of the Self-3, it's interesting to note that we have the ability to let go of everything in Self-1 and Self-2 as we merge back into the nothingness that we came out of at the beginning of the Big Bang singularity. And as we have moved around and around and expanded to our limits at the top of the seventh chakra, the 1,000-petal lotus, and where we have returned to the space from which we came through our talents and our abilities and our sharing as the universe, or as many people, God shares with us our life, our breath, our heartbeat, and our beingness in the universe, along with other beings not present or seen at this time, and which we will discover in the future as Earth becomes more threatened and more destructive. The beauty of the continual world without end and universe without end will demonstrate and become clear to how we do that. First step is to start to re-examine through some form of introspection your life. It's very helpful to start a journal or create a book in the form of fiction or a documentary or an autobiography. But start to look at your life from a realistic, quote, objective perspective. And in so doing, start to see where we need to finish bringing ourselves up. This covers the second decade of life.